The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and guest and do not reflect the opinions or policies of the station, its owners, or its advertisers. All content should be considered editorial in nature. Listener discretion is advised. Well, everybody, good evening and welcome to the Carolina Cabinet. I'm Peter Pappas. I'll be your host this evening. We're proud to be the only homegrown conservative talk radio show in the region, and we know this is the smartest hour of radio. Our job is to give a voice to the conservatives of Fayetteville, Cumberland County, and beyond. This evening, we welcome host Mrs. Laura Mussler.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to be seen. Good to be seen.
Pastor Goodman will be joining us in several weeks, but he's taking a little break right now. I want to welcome our special guest, Mr. Roman Gutierrez, the newly appointed or anointed or voluntold or elected leader of the Cumberland Young Republicans. And joining us a little bit later on in the show will be Mr. Don Brown, running for U.S. Senate for North Carolina. And we look forward to hearing from him this evening. So as we dive into our show, I appreciate everybody tuning in and spending time with us this evening. Please take a moment to like, share, or follow us on Facebook and look for us at The Carolina Cabinet. You can find links to all of our shows and listen to us on your favorite podcast broadcaster. So with that, here we go. So Laura?
Yes.
Nice to see you after a week. I can't believe, I think I remarked already, it's been only a week.
I know, it feels like a lot longer.
It really does. So tonight we're going to unpack three stories that reveal how fast American politics are shifting. Number one, we have the local elections. We want to break those down. Second, we're going to talk about New York electing the most democratically socialist Looney Tunes ever.
I didn't know there was a democratically socialist.
Oh, Lord, these guys,
I just say Looney Tunes.
New York is going to soon become the epitome of FA and FO because they're in the FO portion of the FA part. And in Virginia, Republicans that nominated Winston Earl Sears, a black conservative woman, for governor. The Democrats beat her decisively while framing the race around ideology of representation. One of the first times I think Obama went and stumped against the white or the black
woman. Yes.
Yeah. So that should be interesting to talk about. So you want to dive right in and let's talk about what you've been up to the last week since the elections. I mean, did you take a break?
Not really. We had the state executive committee meeting Saturday
for
the
Democratic Socialists.
No, they're the Republicans. I'm not a Democrat.
Yes, okay, but all right. So the Republicans got together and had a little statewide,
statewide thing, okay. And it was. I left there feeling great, positive. They were talking about how we've been divided in the past, but let's come together now. Let's start moving forward in a positive direction. Leave all that nastiness behind. And I was like, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. I was like, nobody can take anything negative away from this meeting.
Just about the whole room agreed. Everybody was applauding.
Well, not everybody, because they've already posted on Facebook how divisive and you know what's funny is it never even occurred to me that there were two negative Nellies, shall I say, behind me. I mean, I knew that they were there, but we didn't talk about them. We didn't think about them. I was paying attention to what was going on. And lo and behold, when I come home, I'm like, I love that I take up so much real estate in their brain. I think it's so flattering and so awesome. But they're talking about how we were whispering and laughing.
Haven't we discussed this, though? We take up so much room in the real estate of their brains, but it's more like owning a penthouse in a Section 8 rundown apartment in Detroit, Michigan. Oof. I mean, It's not exactly prime real estate.
Jeez,
no.
I mean,
It's not, but I think it's funny that we never talked about them. We didn't discuss them. I was just listening, and then I come home to find out that we were laughing at them and giggling about them and stuff like that. I'm like,
did they post on social media?
They sure did.
Oh,
you were there. Did you hear me talking about anybody?
No, but I was, my focus was on the material at hand.
Right.
It's funny that you say that though, because the teenage representative of the Young Republicans that stood up there and spoke actually said by 10 o'clock tonight somebody is gonna post and say something negative about the party. And surely enough, a kid is the one who called it out.
Well. So, Roman, as I've said before, and I will continue to say that, it does take a village. The village is missing its idiot, and I think we know where they are. We know exactly where they're at.
We have a mayor of the village idiot, so he should be happy he got elected.
Self-proclaimed mayor of the idiots. That's right. And hopefully he can fact check that and he can get flushed down the commode like everybody else. So
that's hilarious. I made that reference today too.
That's crazy. Turn the page, flush the toilet. Either way, time to move on. So I want to bring up, let's see, I did promise to share. Let's see if my technical proficiency is going to cooperate with me this evening. I want to break down some local races. Hello.
Hi.
Somebody talk to us. So, put your phones on silent if it's your first meeting.
Know. This is my first time. Sorry about this.
It's your first time.
Holy smokes! I'm new to all of this. Yeah.
So
technology.
I brought up on the main screen here. First and foremost, we had Mayor incumbent Mitch Colvin retaking his seat against.
Can I get this larger on my screen?
Maybe.
No, you just gotta struggle to see it because I can't see it either.
You just gotta
squint.
That's all you get today. So Mayor Mitch Colvin retook his seat against Kathy Jensen. But, with all the lying and the fibbing that he did to the entire city, he didn't exactly blow Ms. Jensen out of the water. It still was essentially a 60-40 split. I'm just going to round up 37-40 because, we do need to take into consideration that enough people were duped to vote for and waste their vote on Mr. De La Cruz, 260 of them. There was another 56 write-ins that were, they're not documented yet, but by the canvass on November 14th, I think that list will be made available.
Okay.
Tisha Waddell took 44 votes. So did Mario Benavente at 40, and Paul Williams came in at 20. So you still had people that, even though their candidates lost in the primary, they still wanted to put their support behind ultimately losing candidates. So that's interesting. The thing is, I said before that a vote for Freddie is a vote for Mitch Colvin, because if you want change, you need to pick somebody that has a chance of winning. Now, rather comedically, I've heard Mr. De La Cruz refer to himself as Abraham Lincoln, but I think Abraham Lincoln had enough. Order, I think he had enough situational awareness, which I would have thought Mr. De La Cruz, being a veteran, would have understood.
He does not know what situation. He doesn't know what awareness is.
No,
he lives in his own.
He is in his own world, and
I've been relatively nice and not said negative things, but I'm at the point where I'm pretty fed up.
I don't think it's incumbent on any of us to have to be quiet, and we don't want to be identified as Republicans if that's who he thinks he's the scion of Republicans. I'm not that kind of Republican. I'm going to be reasonable and listen to somebody else's voice. So there's that. District 1, Kathy Jensen's old seat, was taken by Stefan Ferguson, previous guest of the cabinet. And he did 56-42 against Mr. James Thomas. If y'all remember, James Thomas was a very young man. He was very much involved. I think he did a lot of work with the Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council, I think. And he's just a very bright young man. I think we have to look back at the younger generation and think maybe they're not all doomed. He seemed like a very energetic guy, and I could appreciate that from him. Now, Mr. Malik Davis retook his seat very easily against Gail Morfesis, 68-31. Antonio Jones, there was no surprise there in District 3, City of Fayetteville. Mr. Jones had been appointed to that seat before.
Yeah, that was pretty tight, though. I mean, only 400 votes separate them. But I guess if you're only getting 2,000.
Well, let's see. I mean, so District 1 only had about 1,900. District 2 had 2,200. I just think it's fewer people voting in District 3.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
Wasn't that Miss Waddell's seat? I think Tisha was in that district.
Could be.
Because I think Antonia was appointed after she
resigned.
So. No surprise in District 4, DJ Hare versus Stuart Collick. Have you ever met Mr. Collick? Has anybody ever seen him?
No.
Neither have I. I know he
Maybe
runs,
we should have him on here.
I'm more than happy to meet him. He runs every time against
does he
Mr.
really?
Hare. He does.
Wow.
He does.
Why?
He does.
What is it? What is he trying to get?
I don't know. Maybe he thinks he's Abraham Lincoln. I don't know.
Well, we don't know him. Let's not
throw. Let's
not lump him in with.
Well, situational awareness, man. I don't know what to tell you. Lynn Green, District 5, handily beat herself. 2,780 votes.
They're still voting for Johnny Dawkins.
They did. But there were 103 write-ins in her district. That's my home district, actually, District 5. That is where Ranger Rick Enrique Murillo was on the ballot.
That's
and
right.
then he had those allegations come out earlier in the year. And he just
Did you guys have him on the show?
Off. We did. Okay. Yeah, we've had the Ranger on.
I was not here when Ranger Rick was here.
Really?
No. But
was not.
Well, we have a lot of shows, Laura. You can't
I understand, but I'm just saying I was not here.
Derek Thompson, my former foe, retook his seat 76 to 22. Just remember, he only got me by 39 to was it 61 to 39 for me. So
okay.
For those of people that are running around saying they got the most Republican votes out of anybody,
is it? And, let's do percentage wise.
That's what.
Yeah. So then,
he only beat me 61-39.
Okay.
Not 76-22. So, but I think Ken ran a nice. What I saw from both of them was they were running a decent race. They weren't really slinging mud to each other. There were certain of these races. There was some certain subterfuge. I think that people were running their mouths about each other, and some of them were just like, "Let's be gentlemen about it."
Do you like it when they throw the mud?
Not really. Not at this level.
Really?
Not at this level either.
At this level, if you think that the potholes are partisan, and you're playing House of Cards, you're in the wrong business. Go run for Senate.
That's right.
It's now District 7, Brendan McNair retook her seat 77 to 22% against Kathy Greggs, former guest on the show as well. Miss McNair refused several requests to appear on the show. Just didn't even respond. Now, Sean McMillan, District 8. He took his seat by 78 to 20%. And with just a few write-in candidates. Now, Sean McMillan, don't believe has appeared on the show with us.
Mm-mm.
And Mr. Garvin did not either. Mr. Garvin was the favored for that district by Courtney Banks McLaughlin, who vacated the seat. I think that was who she endorsed.
Really?
Yes, it was.
I was going to say, there's no way, because Sean is all over. While I don't agree with his politics, he does a lot for the community. He is everywhere all the time.
Well, and that's precisely the good point. See, whether I agree with him or not 110%, he's a well-spoken, well-researched guy.
He is. He's very knowledgeable. He has a lot going for him. Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people off the side tell me that despite what I perceive as Sean's activism, right? Because sometimes these activists scare the hell out of me. But Sean, from what I've been told, will read the packet, do the research. He'll probably lean to a little bit of activism, but he'll do the job first. He won't grandstand. He's not going to be just obstructive for obstruction's sake.
That's good. That's what we need.
And that's I absolutely agree with that.
We need to keep the national politics off of city council board, because they are not the same.
No, they're not.
I could agree.
I mean, you can like it all. I mean, you can want it all you want, but it's like you want to be right, you want to be happy, and you want to move on with life.
Luckily, I'm both.
Are you right and happy? Oh yeah, of course you are. Of course you are, Laura. So down to Dino Hondros versus his opponent Joe McGee. He retook his seat 64 to 34. Mr. Gary Hunt, who I wasn't able to get on the show, he still got 6 write-ins. So I guess that's the threshold, 5 or 6 to be listed.
5 is the threshold to be acknowledged.
So I didn't even get 5 write-ins for mayor. I'm feeling kind of sad right now.
I didn't know you were running a write-in campaign.
I wasn't, but I had a few people tell me they wrote it. So I'm just trying to test them out to see if they were
had I known, I would have written you in.
Yeah. Me and Donald Duck, I think, had a pretty good chance at this thing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's swing to
that town of Hope Mills.
Town of Hope Mills, where we had no conflict at all the last election.
Wow, it's like
that's pretty contentious.
16 votes difference.
That was a dead heat. Yeah. I mean, incumbent Bellflowers versus newcomer Todd Henderson, both of whom have appeared on the show. So yeah, that's 16 votes, and there were 6 write-ins. So
wow,
if they had just swung,
it still would have made a difference. It would have won by 10.
Well, it would have been a 10-vote difference. That's still. Now remember, Hope Mills is where Grilly Mitchell, further down here, he has been reelected to the commission. But Grilly Mitchell 2 cycles ago, or was it last? It was last cycle. He lost by 1 vote.
Oh,
that happens.
And Grilly we've had him on here, so you kind of got his attitude and demeanor a little bit. But he was like, "No, I'm not going to ask for recount." He really is one of those guys. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and he'll move on. So,
I mean, it could have been meant to be with a revote.
It could have,
and you missed out because
but he did. But he just was like, no, move on. And the man's busy enough that I think he just,
That's pretty impressive, because we have people that lost 3-1 votes and they still are hanging on.
Mm-hmm. Sure are. So out in Hope Mills, the new commissioners are the top 5 here. So Ms. Hope Page, who's a newcomer, Grilly Mitchell, former commissioner, Brian Marley was reelected, Cynthia Hamilton as a newcomer, and Lisa Trammell was a newcomer as well. So those 5 are now the new board of Hope Mills.
And the top 3 are good for 4 years. Is that right?
Is it?
Or the top 2?
I think it's the mayor and the top
2 then. 2. Then the other 3 would run again.
And then, so they'll be automatically 4-year terms, the top vote getters. And
so congratulations to Hope and Grilly.
Yeah, they're going to be there for a while now. So that much assured continuity of government better start taking place.
Wasn't there somebody around here? I remember seeing something on Facebook about a guy that was running to be mayor, but he didn't want to give up his commission seat. So he was running for mayor too and commission seat. Maybe that was somewhere else. I don't know.
I think it was here.
Okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me because you're kind of immersed in all this political stuff.
I was going to say, I see so much.
I'm sure you read it someplace.
Yes. And I was like, that stood out to me.
So out in Spring Lake, Mayor Kia Anthony got reelected to another term.
Oh, not by much.
Not by much.
Pretty
Ms.
contentious there as
Chadwick,
well.
who is a friend of a friend, and I couldn't get her to appear the night before the election, but hopefully we'll be hearing from her.
Hey, look at that. In Spring Lake, Freddie De La Cruz would have been within 10%.
Yeah.
Cheese and rice.
He really would have. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't know many people, Spring Lake Board of Commissioners, but the top 5, again, won out there. I don't know if any of these guys were incumbents or not beforehand. The only name looks familiar to me is Frederica Sutherland, and I don't know why that looks familiar.
I don't know any of them either.
Maybe she just has a familiar name. I don't know.
Maybe we should invite them out, find out what's going on in Spring Lake, because they got their rights to do all of their stuff back. Because remember, Dave Bullock was.
It wasn't just Dave Bullock. It was.
The other auditor, but whatever. But it
was a local government commission was like, no, you can't. No, you're not grown up enough to be a town on your own. We're going to put you in receivership.
So we should, see how things are going.
So I don't know anybody in Eastover until we get down to the Eastover Town Council. Our very own CCGOP president, Bruce Sykes, retook his seat. He had some pretty stiff competition there. It was pick 3 of 3, and there was 3 people running.
Right.
So I don't think he had to spend much money on campaigning this cycle.
No, he didn't. He didn't even really campaign. He said, I don't have to.
It's like, that's
you're
nice.
on. Yeah. Congratulations, you're a winner.
Where was it? Let me get down here. I think... Was it Town of Godwin? I kept hearing people talk about I think it was Mr. Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the only one on the ballot.
Okay.
It was Mr. Burnett. So he
didn't have to run a campaign
with 35 votes.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, but that's all
it takes
41 people voted in that election.
Yeah, but Godwin's tiny. Like if you blink, you're out of Godwin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but look at these. 41 votes. But then if it was 41 votes, then some people just didn't vote for any of these guys. If you look down at Town of Godwin commissioner vote for 4.
Well, that's not
see these numbers here,
true.
33, 28. Well, these should be at least 40.
Well, that's if all 40 voted for the same person. Yeah. Maybe those 3 voted for this and that. So
you can vote for 3.
Yes, you can vote for 3.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of them.
Well, I think we need to start bringing some of these guys on.
I think so too. Let's include the community.
Where it's contentious, I would definitely want to hear.
Well, I want to hear how Mr. Burnett, Willie Burnett, possibly fought off his contender.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's 7-1 over there. So, but no, having run for commissioner and meeting some of these guys out there, if you want to know where small town America is, go to Wade, Stedman, Falcon, Eastover. You know, it's happening in our backyard. These guys, they're having town meetings. Their budget might be $100,000.
See, to me, that's just as important as great as Fayetteville City is. Yay. Mm-hmm. They're part of the county.
Yeah.
And they need to be included. We need to start bringing them in and, what's going on in Godwin. I don't know because I don't know.
I asked some sitting members of the commission. Mm-hmm. Actually, it was last Tuesday during election night kind of watch party at having discussions. What outreach have you been making to the towns of Godwin, all the little guys,
right?
And they said, previous commissions just simply didn't do anything for these guys. Never spoke to them. I was told they're having coffees now. They're having work sessions together. They're really trying to include the smaller towns. And what I liked about the smaller towns was they'll have a meeting and they're talking about who's going to repaint the gazebo.
That's nice.
And, you know,
yeah.
but it was like, and it wasn't like they're giving the contracts away to like family, but it was like, well, cousin Eddie's got a guy that can give a contract on the wood repair. And then cousin Joe's got the guy that can paint it. It was all going to be handled the proper channel, but it was like they all
know each other. I mean, there's only, you know,
and it was a community coming together. It was, it was, what is it? Citizen politicians at their finest.
That's
what it was.
That's
so,
why I say
see it happen in real time.
It would be great to have those people here to like have discussions with them on how you make it work. And now, granted, they don't have, you know, a couple 100,000 people, but it's nice to see people working together. We need to be setting positive examples because there's so many negative ones.
Not even 100,000 got one, I don't think.
No,
I'm saying here in Fayetteville.
Oh yeah.
Well, and to contrast that, if their budget's 100,000 in one of these little towns, city of Fayetteville is 380 million.
Right.
Town of Hope Mills is only 22 million.
Yep.
And
only.
Yeah, but
know.
I mean, compare that to, you know, city of Fayetteville. That's city of Fayetteville's a factor of 10 or 12 times larger. So, okay. So that takes care of the local. What commentary, what would you like to add about local elections here in the city of Fayetteville? I mean, any surprises? Were we surprised by any of this or any of the behaviors?
No. Incumbent is the strongest word in politics, right? So I just kind of had a feeling Mitch McCullough was going to take it. Kathy was a good alternative, but I didn't see a whole lot of difference between the two platforms. So, you know, what was really going on there, you know?
Right.
But yeah.
Well, and I think Miss Jensen, she was a victim of being lied to, number one,
right,
by somebody that she'd been mayor pro tem for 2 or 3 cycles. Second of
really,
all,
what was the lie?
Yeah, well,
Mitch said he was not going to run again.
Oh yeah.
So she stepped down from her seat where she could have.
So think about the order of
and
things.
See, you
happened.
say we don't sling mud. You know what I mean?
Well, they don't sling mud. They just lie to each other. But you know, for him to confide in her and say, you know, hey, I'm not going to run again, and then 2 months after that, announce to the city, I'm not going to run again, June 11th or something around there, and then 15 minutes before the window closes,
did he grandstand?
He calls Mayor Pro Tem and says, hey, I'm going to file for mayor, so why don't you file back for District 1?
Oof.
And she told him no, as she should have. But the victim, I think, here is the citizen. We didn't turn out enough of our neighbors to make this a worthwhile race. If you get any kind of voter turnout below 18%, you're guaranteeing that incumbent has a pretty good shot of retaking his seat.
Yes.
Okay.
Mathematically, it was impossible for Kathy to win if that voter turnout didn't turn to 18 to 22, 25%. There you have a chance to win over enough votes to see some change. Gotcha. Whether there's a big difference or not, I said during the primary that there's only 3 or 4 adults running for mayor, and I included the incumbent in that. I said, look, whether you like him or not, whether you like Kathy or not, but then there's Tisha, Kathy, Mitch. Did I include any other adults in that? I don't think.
No, but
I think that was it. But that was more, my adult thing is more about who can lead, who can walk into a room and shake hands with the guy that doesn't look, think, or act like him.
Okay.
And run a meeting and stick to Robert's rules. Go ahead, Laura.
I will say that Mitch is, I give him lots of compliments just because he can. He to me presents as a leader.
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't have anything bad to say about Mitch than I don't agree with his politics and I don't agree with some things that he decides, but I would say that he's a pretty impressive guy.
Well, and that's the thing. I think people are surprised that I don't have a major beef with our incumbent mayor.
You cannot agree with their politics and still like them as a human being. And we got to say hi to Karen Saracen. She's on here, and Bambi Bellflowers is on here.
Okay.
And
joining us as a surprise, not a surprise. We knew he was coming, but Mr. Don Brown. Sir, can you hear us?
You're loud and clear, or Lima Charlie, as we say in the military. Everybody
Lima
looks
Charlie.
great.
I like it.
Very
Well, on this Veterans Day, Eve of Veterans Day, we appreciate some lingo there. So, thanks for joining us this evening. I I didn't really. We kind of just jumped into the show. We didn't really discuss that you're going to join us later because you got quite your hands full this afternoon, I was told. So
we do, but we're getting a little snow up here in the western part of the state. I live in Union County. My office is in Charlotte, so it's kind of a chilly little escapade here. Nice, expected little winter storm coming through, or a little bit of dusting here, and we've been very, very busy, but just great to be with you guys. Very, very grateful for the opportunity.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you, sir. And so I know that so I've met you before. I think you came to Spring Lake.
That's correct.
I think, and that's where the Republican Women's Club's host, was that a Republican Women Club?
That was a joint meeting.
Joint meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's where I first met. You had an opponent back then running, but he's since dropped out. So.
He has a different opponent now, though.
Yeah. Yes.
You got it.
Yeah.
I prefer my former opponent, but hey, we'll do the best we can. It seems like somebody's
tell
all
us.
the time.
So I tried to run some promos that had a little bit of your background, but just welcome tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're trying to do, and let's go from there.
Well, I grew up in the eastern part of the state in a little town called Plymouth. Probably 3 hours from Fayetteville, down near the Outer Banks. Grew up fishing in the Albemarle and Pamlico Sounds. Went off to school at Chapel Hill, and I kind of joke around. I came out more conservative than I went in, proving there is a God, Went to the Navy, went to law school. Yeah, right, exactly. Although, frankly, we've got a really good chancellor there now, Lee Roberts. And, with God, all things are possible. And he was out there defending the flag when Hamas tried to take it down. So went into the Navy, spent really 16 years, 5 active, 11 in the reserves. And got out and went into private law practice, but kept my foot in the military and did some things working with rules of engagement. It turns out, we had Chopper shot down in Afghanistan in 2011. We lost to 17 members of SEAL Team 6, 30 Americans. It was a disaster. And got really close with some of the Gold Star family members and worked on that investigation, met Pete Hegseth through that, and got involved in some work with the guys that had been prosecuted under Obama's rules of engagement. Got involved in some medical freedom stuff going after the jab, and one thing leads to another, and here we are. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, guys.
Okay. So what on earth, because you're a very experienced and busy attorney, what possessed you to say, I'm going to run for U.S. Senate?
And let's say that Tom, just if I may, real quick, Tom Tillis has decided not to run, which has opened the seat up. So for those people that don't know, just in case.
Well, that still doesn't excuse what kind of malfunction had in his head of why I'm going to go right.
Let me tell you what's funny, guys. We've been in at least 65 counties, and everywhere I've gone, I've joked around. I've asked for a psychiatric referral. Why would you do this? And last night we were actually in Buncombe County. We've been to Buncombe County on several occasions, and there was a conservative patriot psychiatrist in the group, so I finally found one. It's interesting. It's interesting, Tom. Well, I never thought I'd be doing this. I did run for Congress 2 years ago, jumped in very late. Matter of fact, jumped in on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving for a March 3rd primary, which was insane. We finished in the middle of the pack, and this thing comes up with Tillis. And the thing that kind of got it started, I was having a number of my opponent's supporters, including Congressman Mark Harris's supporters, encouraged me to do this, and still was not going to do it really. As I mentioned to you, I worked with Pete Hegseth a lot for 2 years, battling rules of engagement issues that Obama had put into practice. And they were really putting the lives of the Taliban ahead of the lives of Americans. There was one young officer named First Lieutenant Clint Rance, who Pete and I worked 2 years together to finally get President Trump, to persuade President Trump to pardon him. By the grace of God, we got that. So I know Pete well. And I think really the straw that broke the camel's back is when Tillis, after he had promised to support any of the president's nominees that came out of committee, Pete came out of the Armed Services Committee, and Tillis still tried to torpedo that nomination. And I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It just made me furious. He had taken out, or subsequently took out, Ed Martin, the original U.S. Attorney nominee for D.C. We've got a very good one now with Judge Janine, but that's kind of like what got me into the race. And I think Andy and I both had agreed. We became friends on the campaign trail. We agreed, and I was actually If Laura Trump had jumped in the race, I would have gone to the beach. The closest I've been to the beach is a campaign in Cumberland County. Okay, but the establishment's choice does not give me a lot of comfort that the future of that seat is in good hands. So here we are. But there's a silver lining in every cloud. I'm here with y'all. Got to meet Laura. Got to meet you, and it's just a tiring thing to go from here, there, and everywhere. But when you get where you're going and you meet fellow patriots, it kind of like revivifies you a bit. So I'm grateful for that and for the new friends.
What has your reception been like? I mean, Mr. Whatley is very much establishment, and Mr. Trump had his arm around him so many times, but he's not grassroots at all. And if we look back at his record, I don't feel like Mr. Whatley brought much success to the GOP in North Carolina. So look, what's your reception been like?
Well, first off, the reception on the ground, the grassroots level, has been electric. I'm very grateful and humbled and honored. I mean, I haven't done anything to earn that enthusiasm, but I'm grateful for it anyway. Annie Nilsson and I both knew that Tillis was not going to win this race. And I can't really say that the negativity toward Whatley isn't as high as it was toward Tillis, but the party is divided. And I am convinced that if you gave him the nomination today, we would lose the race to the Democrats. And I
agree.
Yeah. And
because the grassroots are stuck in the mud, and they will not conform and say, hey, a other Republican is better than any Democrat, especially Senator Roy Cooper.
Well, right. That's right, Laura. And, you're going to have a race that, we're optimistic because Republican registration is eclipsing Democrat registration. But yet we just saw from these municipal elections that it almost takes the presidential election at the top of the ticket to pull Republicans out. So we're looking at a midterm. We're looking at a former governor who has name recognition. Now he has a record, and I'm going to chase him all over the state, and I'm going to prosecute him on his record. His performance during COVID was beyond disastrous, and even before that, when he was Attorney General, he drove the state crime lab into the ground. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The last time I saw my dad alive was looking through the outside glass of a nursing home. My hometown in Plymouth, North Carolina, there was a frozen patch of grass, and my sister Amy and I were out there, and my dad was inside. We were just waving to him. It was Cooper's unconstitutional mandates that kept us from our dad and kept thousands of elderly North Carolinians who were dying away from their family members. And there was never any logical reason for it, never any health reason for it. It was largely a scam from the beginning, and I'm going to hit him on that. He drove the state into the ground. Look what he did to the public education system during COVID. I had a client of mine, a wonderful patriot lady who runs a large dance studio in the Charlotte metro area, and she came to me, and Cooper was trying to get her little ballet, little kids, 3 and 4 years old, little girls wearing masks. And I just said, hey, blow it off, Michelle. We'll sue him if we have to sue him. But, I mean, he's done a lot of damage. And when he was going out of office, New Year's Eve, before Stein comes into office, he commutes 15 murderers on death row. And I just say, think about the animal that murdered that poor girl in the Charlotte light rail arena. Think about that animal. Cooper, he commuted the death sentences of 15 murderers just like that. How do those families feel? We're going to chase him down, remind him of his record. This guy can be taken down. I don't believe that he beat Pat McCrory. When you look at that race, McCrory was ahead, and all of a sudden the vote theory starts showing up from where Durham County, probably the most corrupt Democrat machine in the state. So, there's a way through this. We got to get past Whatley first. There's a way to do it, and by the grace of God, we're going to keep praying and working, see how it turns out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we certainly hope you can counteract the evil that is Mr. Comrade Cooper over there. But because, if nothing else, he had me listening to the radio every other day during COVID, wondering if I could keep my own damn restaurants open.
Right.
I remember sitting in the parking lot with no other customers in the lot. And I'm sitting outside on the AM radio waiting to hear, is he going to let us open this week, or what's going to happen? And we forget very easily, I think, how much we let these guys have control over things that we should not have.
And if you remember those, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, if you remember those press conferences that he and Mandy Cohen did, you'd see them put their mask on before they walk out, so they weren't even practicing what they were preaching. And of course, that guy,
virtue signaling,
Marshall
right?
BLM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Exactly. So he does have a record. We're going to hit him hard. I mean, we're going to hit him so hard he won't know he won't know where it came from. By the grace of God, if I get a nomination, he's going to feel a rocket up as what. We're going to hit him and remind him and prosecute him and chase him out of the state and remind North Carolinians what he did to the state. And I think it's been too close to that disaster of a record he had for people to forget. And I think he's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to sling mud. I don't like slinging mud.
She lets me do that.
Well, I entice it though. So you're focused on Roy Cooper, which is great because once you make it past the primary, the RNC people and the establishment Republicans will fall in line and will back you 100%. Unfortunately, we can't say the same about the grassroots people. They'll be protesting or whatever. So let's get you past Whatley. Why you and not Whatley?
First off, we start with our respective records, and there are some significant differences. I'll start with medical freedom. During the COVID movement, I don't know if I shared this with you, Laura, but I got into a public debate with a guy named Jerry Valancourt, who was the voice of the Charlotte Hornets, play-by-play voice. And he'd been a friend, liberal as the day is long. He was pro-jab, I was pro-freedom. He was pro-mask, I was pro-freedom. And if you ever see a picture with me wearing a mask, it's doctored by AI. So I'm one of those stubborn types. But
me too.
But there you go. I love it. But as a result of that, I got involved in some major vaccine litigation. And one of the big, and I represent a number of Christians with the EEOC that just wanted to keep their jobs, didn't want to take the jab for religious reasons. But I had a major case at the Savannah River Nuclear Plant. That's in Aiken, South Carolina. I know some folks around Fayetteville and our military bases will know that plant. It's a crucial plant for the American defense apparatus. We had built hydrogen bomb parts there, and now we build nuclear materials. It's run by the Department of Energy. The employer is Savannah River Nuclear Solutions. So Biden had the Department of Energy tell Savannah River, either you force your folks to take the jab, or we're going to cut all the federal funds. So I had about 100 come to me, wound up representing 78 folks, employees, many of them nuclear engineers. So we sued Savannah River. We went first to the district court in Columbia, South Carolina, and I sued them on the theory and on the grounds that they were practicing medicine without a license, which is absolutely correct. You're forcing somebody to take a jab under emergency use authorization without a license. And the judge, really nice lady named Michelle Childs, Democrat as the day is long. And Michelle Childs, guys, was one of Biden's 3 women of color finalists for the Supreme Court. In fact, she would have been better than what he selected. But she smiled and nice she could be. But we knew she would rule against us. She ruled against us, and we appealed to the Fourth Circuit in Richmond. And eventually Biden backed down because you're coming up on the midterms and so he backed down. We were able, by the grace of God, to save those jobs, not because of anything brilliant I did, but sometimes you just got to stay in the ring and keep fighting and hope that the sun will peek through the clouds, and it did. But I was going to say, during the course of that, we pulled numbers from the government. The government has, and maybe y'all have heard of this, a database called VAERS, and that's the Vaccine Emergency Allergy Emergency Reaction System. VAERS. It's put into place by the FTC. The government has called it its gold standard. In years past, if anything went wrong with a vaccine, even a small thing like with DTaP, for example, German measles, whatever, rubella, the government would shut the entire program down nationwide just with 3 or 4 adverse reactions to make sure there wasn't a widespread problem. Well, then comes COVID. And so in COVID, they started attacking their own system, from the canary in the coal mine to, well, you can't rely on it. But we pull those numbers, and I'll tell you this, and I'll share it here with you all. Probably won't hear it anywhere else, but from January of 2021 until October of 2021, that's a 10-month period, we have more deaths, DEATHS, reported from these 3 experimental COVID jabs in that 10-month period than from every other vaccine combined over a 30-year period. And your crooked government and this crooked media lackeys kept that from you. Well, there you go with a line of demarcation right there with me and Whatley. Whatley used his position as chair of the Republican Party in North Carolina, went to Republican headquarters in North Carolina, and urged people to take jabs. I'm going to take a jab. He said, see your doctor, but it's not a matter of politics. It's a matter of science. Highly irresponsible, number one. Number two, and Andy's aware of this, Wiley endorsed Tillis in March in the Carolina Country Club after Tillis, before he dropped out, but after he tried to torpedo Pete Hegseth's nomination, after he took out the U.S. Attorney's nomination, after he said he went after Trump's terrorist policy, saying, whose neck can I wring or who can I choke, something like that. So Wiley was in bed with Tillis as the RNC chair when he is required by Rule 11 to remain neutral. Andy and I are both in their race, still endorsing Tillis. And it just goes on and on and on. He went after our J6 Patriots. He was bragged that he was the first state chair to go after J6 Patriots. Now, Trump was out of office. Remember, he'd gone out of office in January. While he was interviewed on CNN, we've got the tape. CNN said, Mr. Wiley, Senator McConnell says that J6 was all a creation of the president. All of them, are you going to disagree with Senator McConnell? He says, I'm not going to disagree with Senator McConnell. In other words, he was agreeing McConnell was attacking Trump, and he went on to bash these folks. And I know for a fact that like 99% of our patriots that went into the Capitol were peaceful and nonviolent. So there's a difference right there. And the differences go on and on. We're going to get these policy differences out. We're sending Tillis 2.2 if he were able to get past Roy Cooper, which he can't. You're just getting this, and we've got a $38 trillion national debt, and the Republican Party has got to have an affirmative plan to attack the debt. If we don't, it's going to be Katie bar the door. And that message is resonating with folks I've been talking to all over the state.
So we've talked about plenty of doom and gloom in the past, the masking and the deaths and everything to me, everything we gave up in COVID to me was reminiscent of the Patriot Act back. And then we wanted to feel safe. So we just said, yay, take all of our safety and make us feel safe.
No, we didn't.
Gave up.
Some people
not
did.
all of
I
us
did not.
felt that way. But,
I refused to wear a mask. I got kicked out of several places because I wouldn't wear a mask.
You wanted to make the little 15-year-old really at the door
100%
feel a certain kind of way.
Yes, I did.
You're so mean. Laura.
Love that about you. By the way.
Yes, I am. I am going to stand up for my rights.
Amen.
No little 15-year-old is going to stop me.
Right. I just put the mask. I was like, all right, kid, it's fine, man. Just whatever. But I guess I'm a little more, I just want to go in and get my toilet paper and get out.
No, I had my toilet paper delivered. Amazon does
that. So we've discussed a little bit about the past, and Mr. Brown, I didn't ask you how long we can keep you this evening. I know you had other places you needed to be.
He was on Newsmax tonight, or he's going to be on Newsmax, and he's going to be.
We're all done.
And you're going to be here in Cumberland County tomorrow night.
Yeah. But y'all go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry.
You're going to be here tomorrow night at Logan's Restaurant at the Fayetteville Republican Women's Club, 6 p.m. at Logan's Restaurant. So everybody that's on here talking about how great he is, I see you on Facebook. Please come and join us. Meet him tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe he'll, buy a hat from him, give a little donation or something, because these campaigns don't run for free.
That's right. And I don't want to divulge too much and keep them still interesting for tomorrow. I still want them to have a little bit of mystique. But, we've discussed the past, but what are you going to fight for North Carolinians going forward? I mean, what's top one or two things that you're like, look, we need to really double down on X?
Let me start from a big perspective, and then let's go into the North Carolina issues.
Okay.
First of all, you got me as long as you want me. I've cleared the deck and was hoping to be in studio with Laura tonight, so I've cleared the deck, and I think it's very important for voters to be able to see if their candidate can go into deep detail. Last night we did an hour and a half. I'm not suggesting you can keep me that long if you want to, but we did an hour and a half.
Well, I think Roman would be a little bit disserved because we do have to get to him eventually. But
absolutely, I love hearing about this. It's very educational.
But Roman lives around here. Roman can come back.
I do. That's true.
But listen, I'm going to talk one national issue, and we'll go into some state stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Nationally, the national debt is a ticking time bomb that nobody wants to look at. When I got into the race, it was in the high 36 trillion range, then through 37, and 2 weeks ago it crested 38 trillion. I was going up to the western part of the state, and the eastern part and the western part of the state typically just get screwed over by the rest of the state. So I have a hard, let me rephrase, by Raleigh. And so I have a heart for the mountain counties and eastern counties. I have a heart for the whole state. But I was getting ready to go up there, and there is a website called usdebtclock.org. I don't know if you all have seen that, but
Yes.
if anybody is listening to me, go to it. And it shows the running debt exploding in front of our face. And so, I've got these smart kids, and I've got this little cell phone. Laura could show me how to do this. My RN daughter showed me how to set the clock. So I'm watching this, and I set it for 1 minute. And at the end of the minute, it goes, and you know how much the debt had increased in 1 minute? Peter, any idea? Laura, you want to take a guess?
No, I'm Googling it right now.
$1.23 billion. $2
million, $2 million a minute, $120 million an hour, $2.8 billion a day. That's $37,000 a second. Okay, so our Republican congressman will tell you, and rightly so, that we brought down the level of spending. That's true, because although it's $37,000 a second now, it was $55,000 to $60,000 under the Democrats. But see, the problem is, when we look at every great civilization in the history of the world, they all had the currency that everybody wanted. The Romans had the denarius. The Spanish had the peso when Columbus discovered America. The Brits had the pound sterling, which gave way to the dollar at Bretton Woods. And when those currencies fall, nations fall. And we are racing not only against incredible forces of evil, but against the law of mathematics. And we got to, as Republicans, have an affirmative plan to attack and reverse the debt, or the rest won't matter. So, and that message is resonating. Yeah, you got it right there. So if you look at that, you see we're $38,178 billion. That's $111,000 per person. But here's the thing for y'all, for us, we pay taxes. So you've got the average debt load per taxpayer is $328,000, which means that if all of us struggle to check, those who pay taxes, we have to struggle to check for $328,000 retired to debt. It's a dangerous situation. So I've talked about that. I've got a plan for that. I know you asked about some state issues. I want to go to that, but that message is resonating. You're not going to hear Wiley talk about it. You won't hear any Republican talk about it. I went to the NCGOP Hall of Fame dinner the other night. I went to the dinner, watched it all, and had a fellow from CNN come in and gave all the red meat MAGA talking points. Great. I mean, DEI is horrible. The idea of forcing little girls into locker rooms with men is abominable. The alphabet soup going to X, Y, and Z all the way. They do that to try to divide us. And we get worked up about that, and we should. But if we lose the dollar, it's over. So I've been trying to hit on that. Let's go to some state issues because you asked about them.
What do you do to get people involved in that? I mean, people feel disenfranchised or not bought in to America, right? Like,
no, right. Well, listen. If you think
of that.
Mm-hmm. Right, Roman. Think about this. This fool. Well, I shouldn't say that. My grandmama said the Bible says don't call somebody a fool, so I won't because the Bible said that. This dingbat. How about they got elected as mayor of New York? It points out two catastrophic failures in institutions that we used to cherish. I mean, first off, here's a guy, an American Ugandan American, hyphenated American. Why are we letting hyphenated people hold office or immigrate to the country? He's a guy who embraces Sharia law. When you think about immigration, so one of the institutions is an epitome of the failure of immigration. We talked about how the Democrats encouraged illegal immigration, and they did. Biden, they just opened up borders. We lost more Americans in 1 year to fentanyl than 10 years of Vietnam. That's illegal immigration. Trump has largely shut that down. God bless him. We got a problem with legal immigration. That is legal immigration as well. Why are we allowing immigration of folks from Sharia countries who appear to have embraced Sharia law, which is an anathema to the Constitution? It's going to be shut down. So, as an example,
can I interrupt here for a minute? We preach here in America that everybody has the right to practice their own freedoms of religion. So while you're criticizing Sharia law, that is what their beliefs are. So, I always play devil's advocate. I'm the troublemaker. I apologize.
She really is.
I mean,
I'm glad you do, because I'm gonna gently push back a little bit. Why is Sharia a religion? Let me ask you that. Who says it's a religion? Let me ask you this. What religion on the face of the planet advocates maiming, destroying, raping, killing? Every religion on the face of the planet whether it's a true undefiled religion, as James says, it takes care of widows and orphans, that is Christianity in my judgment, or you know, or Hindu, or whatever it may be, all preach to one degree or another peace, love, and inclusion. Now, we as believers, if you're a Christian, you believe that there's only one way, and that's through Jesus Christ. But nonetheless, Christianity, you know, Buddhism, Hinduism, all preach to agree love and inclusion, not Sharia. So you're correct. The First Amendment protects religious freedom in the very first thing. But I challenge any philosophy that is an anathema to the United States Constitution. See, the very Constitution,
Sharia law is that. It's a law.
Right.
It's a bastardization of the Muslim faith, the Islam faith. I mean, having my producer here in the corner who is from Pakistan,
right.
You know, he doesn't seem like a Sharia law kind of guy. He
Why
seems
not?
to practice his religion, and he seems happy with it, and his wife does too. So I think to paint all Muslims as Sharia law adherents is unfair.
That's not what I was doing.
Not that you were, but it's like, look, the Sharia law is as much bastardized of the Islam faith as those crazy old guys in Montana preaching super Christian crazy fundamentalism. We have crazies in all of our major religions.
Well, you don't have crazies like you do with Sharia. I'm going to push back.
No, they kind of.
I think it's still missing the point to where young Americans, 18 through 40, that's who the Young Republicans represent. They don't feel like they have a stake in America, and that's where they're willing to let somebody with a voice like that come in, who's promising something that they can just have or be given out to them, because they don't see a space to necessarily earn or receive that. And how can we change that? How can we massage that message?
First off, Roman, you're correct. And I started this by saying that Mondami is a failure of two institutions. Legal immigration, we've got to vet for Sharia. And no, there are wonderful Muslims that don't adhere to that. But we got to vet for it better, number one. Number two, it's a failure of the educational system. You take the Bible out of school, you take the Ten Commandments out of school in 62 and 63, and then you combine that with failing to teach American exceptionalism. And what you have been teaching over a generation is the opposite of American exceptionalism. And when you look at the disaster,
instead you have American apologist is what you have instead.
That's right. That's right, Roman. So, so when you look, the shock is not just the fact that you got this socialist Islamist getting elected as mayor of New York, but a bigger shock is the city of stooges that put him in office. And that's the product of a generation of educational failure. And you see, the failure of the education. First, let me be clear. I love teachers. I love teachers, nurses, and coaches, probably more than anybody. I told Andy, I love coaches. Teachers, nurses, and coaches can really affect people's lives. But when you're teaching anti-Americanism, America bad, it isn't just that after these standards rammed down by the federal government, it's not just that reading, writing, and arithmetic and our math scores have dropped against our Asian competitors. But more than that, it is the morality that has dropped that allows this type of election. We have got to get a hold of our schools, public, private, Christian, homeschool, otherwise, and start teaching American exceptionalism again. We got to get the Ten Commandments back in school. We got to get prayer back in school. We got to get a respect for authority, the type of authority that this nation was bound on, back in school. We got to understand it's not going to be done overnight, but it's got to be done. So
I think it's funny that the young people believe in socialism these days until it affects them. When they say, okay, well, I want you to go to work for 40 hours a week, but I'm going to take your pay and I'm going to pay this person who stayed at home. Like, well, why don't they just go to work?
Right.
All of a sudden, socialism isn't so great.
You're right. So, and when you start seeing your paycheck taken, and you know, the city of Charlotte just passed a transit tax because, you know, first of all, as far as I'm concerned, they can shut down the light rail in Charlotte. It's become a cesspool, a magnet for vagrants. You shut it down. But city of Charlotte, they don't want you, Laura, if you were crazy enough to go ride the light rail, they don't want to pay themselves. They want to tax you on a sales tax so they don't have to pay. And the more and more and more they take, the worse it gets. And so a lot of kids going to work, they are seeing that for themselves. But back to an earlier point, we should be teaching American exceptionalism. We should be teaching against socialism, teaching against communism in schools. And again, there's not going to be a quick fix, but those of us, you all have microphone and a platform, and you're doing a good service. We just got to continue. I mean, I believe the truth will set you free, and the truth is more powerful than all the garbage they put out there. All we can do is just take it one step at a time.
Well, I still have faith in the American system, whether some people maybe have lost it. Do you remember, or are you familiar with American writer George Will? He had a column in the Washington Post since '74. Now, he was recently on Bill Maher's Real Time with Bill Maher, and he basically said about Mamdani, quote, "I want him to win. I think every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again." So and he's 84 years old. He's seen a couple of things.
I think that's pessimistic sort of view.
I don't know. I think he's exactly right.
Well, I think he'll be able to shift blame.
No, I think that if you're going to be that stupid and put this guy in power, then you deserve to be cracked.
Well, it's going to end up being Trump's fault, just so you know.
That's what I mean. Mamdani will shift blame. It'll shift blame.
Go ahead, Don.
Let me ask this question. From a national standpoint, I apologize for interrupting. How did that work out with Obama? Okay? How did that work out with Obama? How's it working out with the...
He did.
Yeah. Right. So George Will, he's getting a little older. I've been a fan, but my goodness.
I wasn't a fan of Bill Maher until recently, and all of a sudden he's turning conservative and being vilified by the far deep left.
He is not turning conservative.
I know
he is still a Democrat.
Still very much a liberal.
But the Democrats have gone so far to the extreme left that he seems like a reasonable person, and we as Republicans are like, holy smokes, he's making sense.
What do we always say about Democrats? The Democratic Party left their own people.
I agree wholeheartedly.
He's in a ratings game. I think he has appeared or started to come over a little bit to the right, and that's maybe to appear.
No, he's still very. Laura's right. I mean, she's still on the whole. He's really not conservative, but it's
for sure.
He's more traditional
Republican.
Democrat.
Traditional Democrat.
He's not that extreme, and that's what I always felt confident. And that's 80% of us were okay.
Yeah, that's what I say. The same exact thing that most Democrats think traditionally. However, the people that they're putting in as their representatives are going so far and not representing, because I apologize, I'll never call you my leader. When you get elected as a senator, you're not my leader. You're my representative. Yes, you are my representative. We have a leader, and his name is Jesus Christ. Amen. I follow him every day. Amen. So he is my leader. But as a representative, the Democrats need to get people that represent their beliefs and stop all this craziness.
But he is representing the beliefs of New York City. Or at least 51% of the voters there.
Unfortunately,
and Laura, you're right. They've done
stuff of 6 times voters, man. It was wild up there.
No, what is it? Chicago early, vote often over there. Well, no, and Don, you used this terminology earlier in the episode here: canary in a coal mine.
Yeah, right.
And is Mamdani the beginning of a trend, or is he the canary in a coal mine to remind people, this isn't going to work?
I think unless we get control of illegal immigration, he could be a canary in a coal mine. You know what I mean? You don't what you don't want, and no offense to your producer, and I've got many Islamic friends, and I'm not casting aspersions, but I've been. Now I was in France, in Paris, the night that President Trump was inaugurated the first time. Why would I be there? Well, there's a party in France called the French Nationalist Front Party, run by Marine Le Pen. And they were so excited when Trump was elected the first time, they wanted an American delegation to come. So they invited a former congressman, a general named General Vallely, invited an admiral, former Admiral Ace Lyons was commander-in-chief of Pacific Fleet and a Trump biographer. And Admiral invited me to go with him to kind of be his aide, And Admiral's wife got sick. He couldn't go. But he wanted me to go. They wanted me to go and read the Admiral's speech. We go into this 5-star Hotel Orleans, and I'll never forget this, Laura. I've never shared this with you. When Trump was being sworn in Washington in January 2017, I'm in France in this large hall with these French dignitaries. The chief of staff of French Air Force was there. There were many members of the French Parliament, the European Parliament. They were all conservative. And I'll never forget, Trump made the comment, of course, they could all understand English. He said, from this point on, in his inaugural address, it's going to be America first. I'm going, holy, how is that? Those folks were burst out into applause. And you would think, well, that's counterintuitive. No, but they were looking for someone to initiate border control, and they thought that he would lead the world in that. And the next morning after the swanky ceremony, they put us into a bus and took us out to Saint Denis. That is the Cathedral Saint Denis is the Catholic Westminster Abbey of France, where Marie Antoinette and Louis are buried. And we go there and have this big soiree. And after we try to get out, we couldn't get out. Our cab driver wouldn't come in. And finally, one of the nuns told us, "Look, you're in a no-go zone." Nobody would go in there because they were imposing Sharia in the Saint Denis section of Paris. I'll never forget. We heard the call to prayer and everything, and the French authorities won't go in there and they won't go in there and apply civil law there. It is real, and it's a problem.
Wow.
And
if you ever need a travel companion, you'd be like, "Hey, Laura, I need an assistant. Let me know, because I'll be taking notes or whatever I need to do, because that sounds like fun."
I'm ready to rock and roll. But it goes back to we have to get our legal immigration under control. You go back to 1952, the McCarran Act, when we beat the Russians to the moon in the Apollo program with German rocket scientists. Under the 1952 Act, we were bringing people into the United States based on a need of the United States. The Democrats said that was racist, as if you can be racist against someone who's not a U.S. citizen, not under the Constitution. So in 65, they passed a new immigration act, the Hart-Celler Act, in which they reduced the number of European immigrants. They looked to third world countries, and that's when they put in block immigration. So you're losing control of who you're bringing in. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there.
Well, and that reminds me of all the dust up when President Trump, during the first term, I believe, we don't want people from, quote, the S-hole countries. And it's like, so that's what he said. But then I'm starting to think about this America first when it comes to border control. When did it become, embarrassing or against yourself to say, hey, let's put ourselves first, because the United States is the scion of freedom and the democracy throughout the world. Why is it so bad to put ourselves first so we can be on strong footing to help the people that are in these third world countries? And we didn't want the people from those, quote, S-hole countries because they bring no value to the table of the American story. My father immigrated in 1968 from Greece. He was a beneficiary of the act passed in 65. Greece was a very impoverished country. But at that time, those guys came over and busted their ass.
My father also from Portugal.
But now we have people. I can't convince my cousins to come over here from Greece right now because they look at me like I'm crazy. They can retire as teachers at 45 years old with the full pension. Why the hell should they come over to the United States and work 80 hours a week? They're not stupid.
Right.
But so I don't see where, the left has run away with this whole, attacking of what Trump said, putting America first. How dare you? Well, we are Americans. And
honestly, this is a country. And if you think because I always say, we talk about the trillions of dollars we're in debt. We need to break it down to so people can understand how much money that is. But now we've got this country. Now let's break it down into your household. Right. Whose household are you looking out for first? I earned money. I don't just give it all away and not pay my bills. I look out for my household first, and I put myself in a position where I can help others to do better after I'm okay. So that's what we need to do with our country also.
My grandfather said, you'll always have beans to eat in this house, but if you want steak,
get to work. That's right.
Yeah, right.
But somehow we bastardized that into thinking that's some kind of negative thing about our neighbor if we put ourselves first.
And if you think about it, just to tie this all in about what's going on right now, 42 million people are on the supplementary nutritional program.
Well, it's supplementary to getting eyebrows and lashes done.
That's exactly right. Holy smokes, I saw that too. But 42 in the land of plenty, we have made it. It's like a crime to require people to work.
And Laura,
that is wrong.
You bring a fundamental point of discussion that needs to be discussed. I mean, this whole shutdown started because the Democrats wanted to push SNAP benefits for illegals. Okay. Well, first of all, you raise the question, why are we spending money on illegals? But above and beyond that, SNAP benefits being food stamps. When are we going to ask the fundamental question, Why is the federal government in the food stamp business to begin with? It is not constitutionally authorized. If the state wants to get in the food stamp business, that's up to the state. That's what federalism is about. But we as Republicans have to ask some hard fundamental questions about what is that. We've got to return to a federalist vision where we reduce these programs because they're driving us into bankruptcy. And I'll tell you, go ahead.
I do agree with that, except for the fact that we're in that cycle where we are. And I have come up with what I think is an ingenious plan, if we could implement it, is saying that, okay, you don't have an education, or you do have an education, or whatever. We're going to pay for your college at a local community college to get a 2-year degree. We're going to pay for your food, and we're going to pay for your rent for 2 complete years. Fully. Everything. You live for free for 2 years. At the end of that 2 years, you get 1/4 benefits for 6 months. So you have to go get a job, but you get a little bit of help to start it up. And then you never get another benefit for the rest of your life. You have used up your usage. We've given you an education. We are furthering the country by educating and getting people to work. I'm like, heck yeah, I think that's a great idea. If I do say so myself. I'm sure there's like some details that we need to figure out.
We need to build some of that out a little bit.
I like the basis of that says, here we go. We'll help you get a hand up. And now we're going to teach you how to fish. Now go fish and don't ask me for crap.
Well, I agree with that, Laura. I mean, look, think about it. This country, the greatest country on the planet, the greatest experiment that we've had in human history recorded. And so what is 10 cents or 5 cents out of our paycheck, the largesse of this country, to make sure that our lowest, most vulnerable can eat and go to school and have the opportunity? But at what point do we shut it off?
That's why I say you give them a time limit. And at that end of the time limit, if you don't do what you need to do to get ahead, not my circus, not my monkeys.
It's not a lifestyle. It should be a hand up, not
That's
a hand
out. It's a supplemental. It's a time to help our country get ahead.
I do want to draw to one question in the chat.
Okay.
Mr. Brown, you can't say that without explaining to those who don't even know what a federalist is from the chat.
That's true.
So let's talk about federalism for a minute. And how can you sum that up for our audience here?
First off, I'm just Don. My daddy was Mr. Brown. He went to see Jesus, but I'm just plain old Don. Well, federalism is generally the belief that the Constitution establishes a federal government that works for the states and whose governmental roles for the Constitution are limited, extremely limited, largely under Article 1, Section 8. Basically, we provide for, and if you go to the preamble, you can understand it. Provide for national, establish justice, provide for national defense, and the last charge of the preamble is to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. So the federal government's job is to give a national protection, to administer interstate commerce, so roads and airports are legitimate. You do have a federal court system in Article 3, but you want to minimalize it. So the issues that you are talking about, whether they have a social safety net or not, should go back to the state government. In fact,
amen.
The governments. In fact, the 10th Amendment states that any power not specifically delegated to the federal government under this Constitution goes to the states. And when you just go through Article 1, Section 8, it sets out the powers of the Congress, and they're very limited. So what you mean is limited federal government with the states controlling most of the power, the federal government working for the states. And that's the best way to describe it. And we've got it, like my grandmother used to say, bass backwards, We got it bass backwards where you have a controlling federal government basically smashing the states. So the issues you are talking about, like Laura's coming up, she's a forward thinker, you can tell. And what you're saying, Laura, makes sense. But in my judgment, it ought to be the state of North Carolina making that call, because you see, don't send the money to the federal government. First of all, they're going to sap it off and waste it. The money that could be applied to North Carolina for a program like that, we could do it on 2/3 of what the federal government would spend on it, because they're scooping off our money.
That's true.
So it needs to come to the states, the power. And, it's been said that all government is local, and it makes sense. I was traveling the other day and on my way to Elizabeth City, and I stopped over in my hometown of Plymouth, North Carolina. I was in a coffee shop, and I overheard a guy running for town council, and he had some good ideas. I said, man, those are some good ideas. Found out I was running for the Senate. He says, oh, you're running for the Senate. I said, listen, man, what you're doing is more significant than what I'm doing. Now, here's what I mean by that. Local, officials are close to the people and will make immediate decisions that more quickly impact. And unfortunately, because government is the god of the Democrats, they get more involved in these local races. But that's what it means. It means returning power to the states and to municipalities, and the federal government operates on limited powers, not on omnipotent powers as it's tried to do. That's the best way to describe it, I would say.
And I would think that the Democrats would be pro that, because at the local level, you can have more immediate control over your people.
Well, they do want at the local level, and they have control at the local level. But see, Laura, look, Mandami says, or worse to this effect, there's no problem government can't solve. In other words, he's deifying government. Government is their God, you see. That government's their God. Our God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Their God is government. And so they're
looking to provide a solution.
That's right.
Instead of an opportunity.
I always say
that's always an issue.
Right. They want to expand
I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
No, that's right. Yeah, the scariest words in the English language for Ronald Reagan. That's a good one.
So, Don, definitely, I think if we had a magic wand this evening, we would solve state world hunger, education. We could have done it all, and it would have been great. I do want to ask you back, because I definitely have questions regarding there is I guess what's called the Medicare gap or something, where the state's going to have to burden more. Because in a perfect world, we would change these systems and fix it all. The problem is we have a system that's already kind of up and running, and we have to feed this beast.
President Trump came up with a solution. I posted it on Facebook. So he was saying, instead of giving these supplements to the insurance companies, let's give it back to the people. And what he means by that is, when you open up and make it into a free market, and you give subsidies to the individual instead of the insurance company, the individuals can shop for their medical care. Think when people are shopping and they're comparing prices, that does what? Brings the prices down. You get more things when you see what's going on, as opposed to, I spelt it all out on Facebook.
You say that.
Follow me on
these
Facebook.
Are the same
I'll tell
people that order the $28 DoorDash taco instead of going to Taco Bell.
No. What I'm saying is individuals, not. I was going to say, hey, I've delivered DoorDash too, but I'm not saying.
Y'all making me hungry.
Hey, where's my DoorDash right now? I'm saying, what he's saying is supplement to each person instead of to your county government or whatever. Here you go. Here's the supplement based on whatever it is, that the criteria. But now you're shopping for your insurance. Now your insurance company has to provide a service for you, as opposed to a jet for the guy that runs the company. It's a fantastic program. I'm sure they have to work out the kinks, but it sounds
a couple of.
I'm sure there's a few kinks. There's always a kink when it comes to the federal government.
Don, I had a question for you. How are we going to return blue collar jobs back to, especially around Fayetteville? We're right here, 295, I-95. You would think distribution centers, we wouldn't rely so heavily on Fort Bragg as income. And even to speak to something like Laura was just speaking about having a type of thing that you could essentially invest in local apprenticeships and things like that, that would be incumbent on us bringing in these jobs, and us not just specifically, worried about contracting and things like that. So how can we bring those in? What can we do to inspire that? I mean, I know you want to cut things like federal, or thank you very much, spending, so that, there isn't so much bloat, but that specifically would be helpful to the area.
It's a great question. And to a degree, it depends on which job sector we're talking about. Let's talk about agriculture, for example. Okay, I grew up. My granddad was a tobacco farmer. I worked on the farm, poking tobacco in the barn, priming tobacco, slopping hogs. I was in Belhaven on the 4th of July, the invitation of Representative Keith Kidwell, who is the chair of the Freedom Caucus in North Carolina General Assembly. And let me give you a story, and I'll come back to the question, Roman. I was there, and we were in the 4th of July parade, which is the oldest and largest in North Carolina. And afterwards, they took us in, several of us who were in the parade. Matt Causey, the insurance commissioner, was there. Dave Bullitt was there. Keith was there. Took us in, and we had lunch at Newman's Seafood. They've got a processing plant there. And when we were there, it was a great spread, fresh seafood. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked, to learn that the fish that I used to catch as a boy in the Albemarle and Pamlico Sound, like rockfish, flounder, herring, I would be prosecuted for if I caught those fish today. because of NC fisheries.
We're talking about the shrimping ban.
No, right, yeah. I'm taking a stand on behalf of the shrimpers, but and then you look what's happened to family farms. Laura was talking a moment ago about having options, and she's absolutely right. This little cell phone here is an amazing thing. I've used it for show and tell once already, but when I was in school in Chapel Hill 100 years ago, as I say, coming out more conservative than I went in. My daddy, pick up this. We had a thing called a landline. Y'all are too young to remember that, but it was actually a landline without it. And I would call home my family in Plymouth, and I'd run up a $50 phone bill. And my daddy would about kick my butt. Well, fast forward to 2000, last year, the Trump administration, first time. My son is in Kandahar province, Afghanistan, with the 82nd Airborne, and I'm doing FaceTime video calls with him for nothing. Well, the reason we're able to do that is because something called antitrust. You see, Ma Bell got busted up. And Roman, I'm a proponent of antitrust. In fact, going back to Laura's comment earlier, I've advocated and will continue to advocate. Blue Cross ought to be busted the hell up as far as I'm concerned. There ought to be options and we're talking about cost of living issues here and jobs, but there ought to be options for you to go out and shop medical insurance options just like you can your auto option. See, antitrust came in under Teddy Roosevelt, and I'm a believer that big is bad. Whether it's big government, the bigger it gets, big corporations, the bigger they get, the more.
Except Amazon. I love Amazon.
Yeah, well, Amazon. Well, we'll give you a break on that one. We'll give you a break on that. But even Amazon has some competition. But see, you've got to use, in my opinion, antitrust to bust up some of these agricultural conglomerates we got. And for the idea that you've got Chinese owning land around Fort Bragg is an abomination. So I favor, if you're from a country that starts with BRICS, these nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and 30 others, you're trying to bust up the U.S. dollar. Let's go in and take that land back from these foreign entities and make sure that land's safe in the farming industry, that North Carolina farmers get the first shot at bidding of that land. It's a national security question. So depending, Roman, it depends largely on who we're dealing with, what sector or industry we're dealing with. But take farming, for example. The EPA has lost its mind. They've got a regulation they call WUSA, Waters of the USA. And these green nutcase people came up with this idea of protecting certain type of fishes and stuff. And you're looking at rivers and streams, like you can only catch flounder 1 month a year now, or a couple of weeks in a year now. They're not really in danger, but they just make crap up. But it's gotten so I've talked to farmers who can't even move ditches on their own property because of these environmental regulations. So we have got to identify, whether it's farming, whether it's fishing, what it might be, we've got to determine what regulations in each of these private sectors are harming those sectors the most and go to war against those regulations. Like President Reagan said, we've got to get the government off the backs of the people. You get the government off the backs of the people, give us a chance to breathe, and the private sector will take care of itself. But I'd like to see antitrust used in an aggressive manner against large conglomerates. And I'll say I will be swinging the bat for that, to try to help small business and help small farms and help our fishermen, because it's a matter of national security and our economic survival.
I think that was Sanderson Farms that opened up on the Chinese market.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, so Don, I'm going to put up your website here. I just want. Well, that's not it. Hold on. FRWC meeting. It is November 11th. Okay, that is valid.
Tomorrow
still.
night
So,
again for everybody that's watching.
This is Don
Brown will be here tomorrow night at Logan's 6 p.m.
And in the meantime, please do some homework on Mr. Don Brown here. Don Brown for NC.com. Don, it was a pleasure having you. We're not going to solve all the world's problems and ills this evening, but I do want to have you back. You got a great platform, and you're fired up and ready to roll, and I can appreciate that.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you so much for coming, Don.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, Don. I look forward to shaking your hand tomorrow and hopefully doing some work with you with the Cumberland Young Republicans.
Thank you. It's been my honor. Look forward to being in Cumberland County tomorrow. Appreciate you all. Hope we can do it again real soon.
Okay.
God bless, brother.
All right, sir.
God
Well,
bless.
have a good evening. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Just like popped off.
He just
and was gone.
like he popped smoke. He's out of here, man. Yep. So, all right. Well, that brings us to guest number 2, but number 1 in our hearts this evening, Mr. Roman Gutierrez, who was voluntold and elected for Fayetteville Young Republicans.
The Cumberland County.
Is it Cumberland or just Cumberland?
Just Cumberland. Right.
Well, we couldn't give him the county.
No, there's already a county.
There was a Cumberland County Young Republicans, and they did not do well. They were disbanded several years ago, and this. I'll let him speak. I don't know. But they were disbanded a while ago.
Right. And so I guess that was kind of the methodology around, getting away from that name. But for me, it was more wanting to be inclusive of surrounding areas, not just to Fayetteville. And so.
Sure. Oh, so you realize there's more than just Fayetteville.
Exactly. Okay. And CYR, it just kind of rolls off the tongue. I liked it.
Okay. So what's your back? Like, what brought you to this? Where are you from, and what do you do for a living, and what made you decide to get involved?
Well, that's why I asked about blue collar jobs. I'm a blue collar worker. I work for Healy Distribution.
You're the beer guy.
That's right. I'm the beer guy. I'm the good time guy for sure.
All right.
I'm from the area. I grew up pretty much in Grace Creek. I was an Army brat. I ended up serving in the reserves for a little bit. I was a parachute rigger in the 824 Quartermaster Company, so shout out,
well, tomorrow is Veterans Day, so we have to honor that a little bit.
Right. I actually never deployed.
You're still a vet. Enough. Did you sign your name on the dotted line?
I did. Right.
Could you have been?
I served during wartime.
Could you have exported death around the world on our behalf?
Yeah.
So you qualify.
So that's kind of where my roots are here in the area, and then. After Charlie Kirk, for sure, I was looking for a better way to get into it, and really, I was always interested in the topic, and just wanting to be to be trained on the local politics, because I think that has the most impact, and everybody kind of gets drawn in by national topics, but really to have that effect, it's got to be local. I wanted to be trained up. I wanted to be a part of training people who are very interested in it, and as motivated as I am.
Okay.
But there is something. He does feel a little insecure. We were talking. I brought
insecure to me.
Well,
what got me nominated.
Don't put words in his mouth.
I brought him up to the XCOM to introduce him around, because he needs to start meeting elected officials or whatever.
So you're a pretty good connector. I'll give you that. You're a good networker.
Well, thanks.
So
thanks.
you're a promoter. You're like the Don King of the GOP.
Yes, I'm gonna be the Don King. I got to do something about my hair then. But I wanted him to see or whatever, and he was like, So I'm sure none of the young Republicans know what to do or whatever. So he's feeling a little bit insecure about.
For sure, there's some people, especially be elected as chair. Most people have had a little bit of gumption underneath them or have some background in it. But I mean, I was the only one who was motivated enough to get up there and throw myself on the fire, I guess. And
Well, I appreciate your effort. I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo it at all. I just. Having been on a ballot, I know that it takes a certain kind of crazy to want to do it. So we appreciate you joining the club, I guess. So what are some plans you have with the Cumberland Young Republicans?
Right now, we're looking to expand. So we're looking to grow. We're meeting up and getting chartered this coming week. So the 17th, everybody who's listening, Cadillac Ranch, 6:30, come on out, participate. That's pretty much what's next on the agenda. And then we want to start doing a little bit of outreach with the family, get them very included in before we really start, digging our heels in and trying to make the biggest changes that we can.
Okay. So Cadillac Ranch Monday at 6:30 and
18 to 40.
18 to 40-year-olds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What about older people? Can they join as associates?
You can be an associate. Absolutely.
Because I'm aged out.
So. Oh yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I'd have never guessed.
Look at all this gray.
You
hair,
look
man.
awesome, man.
Hey, I earned this. Okay.
So yeah, we can't have associates.
I still have another couple years.
You still probably cover up your wisdom. Oh, you lie to me, girl. Okay. So there you can be an associate member if you're slightly used, slightly aged out.
Correct.
Okay. How much does it cost to join the Young Republicans?
Right now, I believe it's $1 a month. So about $12. Yeah, that's it.
$12 a year.
That's it.
Crazy.
Yeah. Dues are low, but our expectations are high. So
for like the cost of 2 cheap beers a year.
Yes,
you could be a Young Republican.
That's right. 3 Miller Lights, I guess,
or one decent mixed drink.
Yeah,
I will say that I am excited for it, because when we were talking, we had a 2-hour drive up to Greensboro yesterday. I will say that he has some great ideas talking about doing like young fun things and including small children. So that encourages people with small kids to bring their kids to these functions.
So kid-friendly events. Right? Because I have heard some pushback from some of the meekly minded individuals in our local party about how dare they hold a young Republican event in a bar.
Oh,
it's
my
like,
gosh.
we go to Logan's. They serve beer and liquor there.
They do.
Do you want to go to maybe, I don't know, Dirtbag Ales? It's in the name.
Right. And, by the way, Cadillac Ranch is going to be starting back. Okay, so back in the day, my children, when they were little, I used to take them on Sundays to the Palomino, where they taught line dancing and two-stepping. And my children learned how to dance at the Palomino, which is a bar. Cadillac Ranch is...
Wasn't the Palomino like 2 doors down from here?
Yes, it sure was.
Yeah,
it sure was.
The old grocery store.
Oh my God, I loved that place.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yes, but my kids learned how to dance there, and it just so happens that the Cadillac Ranch is talking about doing the same thing. And so kids are fine there. Yeah. It's not like, they're like, everybody bellies up to the bar. They're having a meeting and doing fun things.
Honestly, it was a means of convenience. They were very giving enough to let us use the space. So that's kind of where it just took off at. We spoke to other chapters, and a lot of chapters do the same thing at local bars. So it's not something we're necessarily opposed to, but
no, those of us with sensible minds think it's a good idea. Some people that just want to throw stones.
I actually invite hecklers. I'm very open to conversation. So I think learning from that, hearing that's actually a good thing. I want to engage the public. So that, I never got contacted about that, but even if I did, it's something that we're all in the age range of having kids. So we want to include our kids. I mean, I have an 8-year-old son myself who's in the area. So absolutely.
So I think one thing that gets lost with the public at large is they don't quite grasp the volunteer nature of everything party related. I definitely think a lot of people locally think that the national GOP sends us money here, so we should have an office and we should have workers. And it's like, I don't think you guys realize how little of nothing.
They were gracious enough when we weren't going to say no. So
yeah. So if somebody offers you a place to join or a place to be, you're going to take it,
especially for free. Heck yeah.
Free
and private.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if your dues are $12 a year, and there's 10 of you.
Yeah, you should.
There's 18 of us.
Okay, all right. So
you mean you're not at the Four Seasons?
You're not even quite at $240 a year in dues. Right. My God. So I think it's important more that we meet regularly and network with each other and try to find some common ground, so that when it's time to run campaigns and candidates who are worth a damn, that have a platform, can ask for help.
Absolutely, yeah.
From the Young Republicans or from the FRWC or the CCRWC, but if you're worth a damn as a candidate.
That's the key. You have to ask for help.
Right. That was the worst thing, is having a candidate stand up there and just not know what they're talking about, be completely uneducated on a topic. And it's an embarrassment. So we want to be a resource in having that not happen, and training people who are, worth their weight in doing it.
Okay, Monica in the chat, unless it's court-ordered community service, would you sit down, ma'am?
I don't think that's a regulated thing to join the Young Republicans for community service.
We're the wrong group of people to do the criminal community service people.
Hey.
What? Well, there's going to be one Republican going to be doing some community service soon, but we'll talk about that later.
She's got to get served.
Yeah, they actually have to show up to court.
Yeah.
But
I showed up.
So the thing about SNAP benefits, and I asked this question before, maybe somebody's heard about this. The requirement's going to be that you have to volunteer 20 hours a week to maintain your SNAP benefit.
No, it's 30 hours a month.
Okay, 30 hours, 20 tomato. So, okay, you still got to volunteer a certain number of hours. But have any of our nonprofit friends, like Bishop or anybody that run these schools,
don't call anybody out by name.
He's Bishop.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll come on here and defend himself. He's fine. But he's got a school that would benefit from some volunteer hours. I'm wondering, has anybody with our nonprofits thought about putting it out could they volunteer at places like that?
I don't know. I wonder if we as the Republicans can get people to volunteer with us.
Let's
do it. Let's look it up. Let's find out.
It'd be better to have volunteers instead of paid door knockers. That'd be nice.
Yeah, but what are you going to get with somebody that doesn't believe?
Well, if they don't act right, just lie to their PO or whatever. They don't do right,
cheese and rice.
Make it incumbent on them to do a good job, or else.
Or else what?
Or else
you don't get your SNAP benefits. No SNAP for you.
Pretty much. You want to eat, do a good job. You don't want to eat, don't do a good job. That's all. So, we need a little bit of fear in some people's eyes, I think.
Monica says they're going to have a doctor's note exception. Just wait.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a disabilities thing.
The same doctor that gave them that cannabis prescription, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Same guy.
But sometimes community service is a joke, though.
No, 911 is just a joke. That's the song.
Okay, well, whatever. You just show you got a friend that has a thing, but like, hey, sign my community service.
I was looking at the positive. Maybe we can engage people. It really wasn't about the free labor. It was more, could we get more engagement from people?
That would be great.
Need to do community service, and maybe you'll find 3 out of 10 that are willing to come around and help.
Absolutely,
you're ambitious. 3.
I mean, even if you just get 1
2 and a half.
Okay, thank you. There you go.
I won't say 3/5 of anybody, because then that's bad, according to Monica. She says they'll call that slavery. So anyway, Monica said it. I didn't really, anyway.
I've got a bum leg. I have diarrhea, she said.
All right. Well,
anyway,
Roman, I'm not here. I'm really proud of what you're trying to do. I really am happy to hear that. And so you're planning some get-togethers.
Yes, absolutely.
Any organized outreach yet? Do you have any plans for anything you can talk about yet? Or
not
still
yet. Yeah, still very much in the infant process of it, but we have some strong support and some people who are well withal. We have a lot of people have already reached out and said, "Hey, man, we're here as a wealth of knowledge to help you kind of get started." So we're looking forward. And this coming month, we're going to be putting out a lot. So I'm already working on our social media. So just stay active, stay looking, and you're going to be seeing a lot of things coming out of us.
Excellent.
And when's your next meeting, and who's coming?
The 17th, and everybody's invited.
What time?
The 17th at 6:30 at Cadillac Ranch again.
Thought I put it.
Me and my team will be here. He put it in there.
Okay, we're talking. So.
Yeah,
my co-host is always about keeping me accountable for things. Where's the prep sheet? Where's this? Lady, good Lord. Okay. So Cadillac Ranch Monday at 6:30, and that will be the 17th. And for everybody that doesn't know, Cadillac Ranch is on Fort Bragg Road.
Yep.
Across from the best sandwich in town at Baldino's Sub Shop.
I like Baldino's. She got me there.
What did you say? You were bringing Baldino's?
I will be happy to take your lunch money for any meeting that you have.
Oh, okay.
They usually do pizza. Usually they're big pizza.
Well, pizza's cheap and easy. But if you want something that's going to last, you got to.
I heard you're cheap and easy too, though.
Sometimes it depends. If the lights is low enough, baby, let me tell you. So. You know what? I really am a Rodney Dangerfield kind of character. I get no respect up in this piece at all.
Oh, no. Let me tell you something, Peter. You are one of my favorite people. You are generous and kind and smart alecky and funny and all of it.
This is her making up. So we're not
absolutely not.
On thick. Yeah.
Yep. No.
Well, Laura, I don't know if we don't really want to talk about. We talked about Mom Donnie enough.
I think
tonight.
So too.
I may the odds be ever in your favor with that clown. I'm just going through my notes here. I don't know.
The government is opening up. Possibly.
Yes.
Possibly.
So, okay. I'll bring that up for a moment. So
that's exciting. That is.
Well, okay. So I have liberal friends.
Okay.
Right? I know that's a shocker, but
no, absolutely not.
I received a compliment in the last couple of days from a person that runs a community watch in Fayetteville when I ran for city council. She's always been very supportive of me, and it was weird when you get support from different quarters, and she said, yeah, but you always talk to everybody.
Right.
That's why you did well. And, because I would just,
are you the top vote getter?
I definitely received more votes percentage wise than any of the Republicans that ran this time. So they still can't, they can talk about me, but they can't beat me.
Okay.
And if they want to be the man, they're going to have to beat this man. And they're not equipped.
Okay.
So
what just happened? The Senate voted 60-40 on November 9th to advance legislation aimed at ending the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
Now that doesn't open the government. Okay, all that does is say that they're going to move this process forward to consider opening the government. So, and then they're going to do all their little thingies, and then they vote again. Then it has to go back to the House of Representatives. Then the House of Representatives has to vote on it. Then it goes to the president. Because don't you remember, I'm just the bill on Capitol Hill.
Do you want me to find that video? I think it's better singing than you do.
I'm sure it does, because I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket.
What I was going to mention about my liberal friends that I do, they're pretty, some of them are pretty dear to me, just because we don't agree on the politic in general. But wasn't like we needed 6 Democrats, or was it 8?
It was
8.
Okay. So now that those 8 have decided to come over and reopen, or make the moves to reopen the government, immediately I started seeing memes about how we need to vote these people out.
Right.
And it's like, wait a minute, is compromise not the most American
Yes, it is.
of delicacies? I mean, is that not what makes us who we are to continue? And
I want to say most of the 8 are retiring too after this term, so I think they threw themselves on the fire, and that was kind of.
But is it really necessary to throw yourself on the fire to do the right thing by the damn people of this country? I mean, look.
Nowadays,
Democrats
yes.
quoted as saying, "This is the best leverage we have." And you're a Democrat voter, and you think these people care about you? Now, I have no presumptions that everybody in government cares about me. Okay, it's kind of like thinking the stripper likes me for me.
Right.
Okay,
yeah. As long as you're putting ones,
as long as you got a wad of ones in your pocket, she's gonna love you. But so I don't have any presumption that anybody really cares necessarily about me.
The Republicans don't care either. Just so
I think it's pretty
fair.
universal that it's hard to distill it down to they care about you or you. They care about us in general. Yeah. But I just feel like how audacious it was for these Democrat senators and congressmen to be like, oh, this is great leverage.
Right.
This people starving is great leverage.
I actually felt the other way about it. To say it was great leverage, to see all the outrage from everybody, or just, what it had done to individuals with being laid off, their SNAP benefits. Look how much you're relying on the federal government. Now imagine overspending and running out of money. What's going to happen then? This is why it shows you that we really do need to act now. We need to do something. We need to be fiscally responsible. So it's all about framing. And I don't think this was framed well, maybe on either side, but
I tell you what, I wouldn't have known that there were 42 million people on SNAP benefits if we hadn't. So there are some things that good things that have come out of this.
I wouldn't have known that 2/3 of them were overweight either.
Well, if you see what they throw in the cart, I mean, some of these people are land manatees, man. And we are our own problem with obesity, and I got a couple pounds I can lose. Everybody here, everybody can probably lose 5 or 10.
You're paying for your own
but
food,
generally I am. Unless I do get high off my own supply.
Right.
Jim brings me lunch from the restaurant every couple of.
There you go.
But I just put on the screen. It looks like the clock from 24. I don't know if you guys can see that.
I do remember that show.
But I kind of want to hear the TikTok sound that it made. But that's how long, 40 days, 20 hours, and 38 minutes that the government has been shut down by the White House. The official White House time clock on that.
Right.
So hopefully we'll see that alleviate. We'll see our friends and people in our community, because we do have a very, we have a lot of military dependent workers on post that have been working. They're still working.
Right.
But they're not getting paid. And I think somebody reached out to me and said she received her second LES, which I don't know what LES means. But
it's their leave earning statement.
Okay, thank you. So received her second LES with zeros attached.
Wow.
Oof.
So, and that's got to be tough. I mean, now I think it's still incumbent on anybody that works for anybody else to follow the Dave Ramsey plan of 6 months savings. And, I think there's still some responsibility to be had. If you're going to a bread bank or a food bank, the first time they shut down the government within 3 days,
then you're not living
you're living well beyond your means. And maybe that needs to be addressed by some people. And I'll see if I can get Dave Ramsey to come and fill us in.
That would be great.
I do know you're supposed to have 6 months savings, and you're supposed to have what they call a Dave card.
I'm going to contact Dave Ramsey's office and see if we can get him on here.
Yeah. He'll probably charge. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But he doesn't have to come and serve. If he could just talk to us. How about I'll read his book.
There you go.
And share all of that.
We'll promise to buy a book. Yeah.
Right.
So, Roman, any parting knowledge there? Anything you want the audience to know about Young Republicans besides please come and give us money and help us?
I mean, you kind of got it all lined up, right?
I mean,
there,
look, you can. There's no sense to sugarcoat it, man. You know, it's what it is. So.
Look, we're looking to actively engage in civic. So I do want to, I do want to emphasize that we're looking to re-engage in local politics, and we want to be able to, make our community more representative of us. But that's going to also entail civic engagement. So come on out. Let's grow together. Let's lead together, and let's influence local politics.
Okay. Well, I think our more than 60 minutes is up. We're hitting hour and 40 so far. So
wow.
I just want to say thank you to Laura for being here with me this evening. And Roman, thank you for being patient and through all the technical difficulties. And,
no worries.
Don Brown kind of stole your thunder a little bit.
No, that's
you were supposed to go first, but hey, we're better late than never. So to our audience, I hope you'll do us a favor and take time this week to visit one of our commercial sponsors. Let them know you heard their message right here on the Carolina Cabinet. If you do somehow miss an episode of our top-rated show, you can find us on your favorite podcast broadcaster, Apple, Spotify, Google, Apple, Audible. We're everywhere. It's 2025. Just Google the damn thing. Look for us on thecarolinacabinet.com. You can find all our videos and links. And thank you again for tuning in this evening. Until then, we are
the Carolina Cabinet.